in the office. I want to touch base with you, so it's nothing urgent, but you're gonna have to conversation. You want me to call you after I get out?
I already know, it's one bond, because he said, it's the same thing, there's always a problem.
Okay.
Open the register,
Good.
Florence.
Yeah, but he's saying that he can't.
Right, when you wake up, whenever it's right, doesn't matter.
Hasn't shown up.
I'm letting you know there's only works.
And he can't, so he wants me to send him the link, so either you.
Okay, Eugene, you have hosting duties.
Okay, great. Got that.
Eugene, when you're ready, let us know about the quorum. I count we're one short. See what you think.
Oh, let me see. How many do we have in the room? I can't actually see.
So we have Anita, myself, Brian, and Brendan Fitzgerald.
Okay, and then Chenault and myself. So we have 6, Chenault.
Except I just learned the first time in my long career that only members of the board count toward the quorum. It came as a great shock.
We count everybody.
So we need one more board member.
Everybody gets to vote here.
Where is Zach? Is anybody excused absences today?
Susan. Damn.
Anyone else?
She can't be here. She has another meeting.
We're 5 minutes past, so we'll begin without a quorum, and when the time comes. Do you see presenters along Eugene?
1 Bond Street.
Yes, I see 1 Bond Street. I see Nabil
Okay.
and
First, if anyone from the public is here for 17 Barrow Street, that has been withdrawn. And that means that we're waiting for them to come back and tell us if they want to come and when. We are beginning the meeting without a quorum, and we'll declare the quorum.
Are you guys students or? Okay, all of you? Okay, we have students here today.
Okay.
Yeah, are you?
Okay, please, everyone, we're going to begin.
Okay, good.
The meeting is hybrid, and it follows pretty much the same routine as we had when it was all by remote.
Thank you,
And
guys.
Eugene will elevate people as needed to speak, and Brian will recognize the speakers in order during discussion time if they're members of the public who wish to speak. And we'll come to that in due course. Please remember the chat is only for technical matters such as not being able to be heard or to hear, and not for comments and a discussion, because it is not a part of the record and it's out of order to use it for that. Everyone's encouraged to be as brief as possible, and in particular to confine any parts of the presentation or remarks to matters pertaining to the landmarks aspect of the application. If there are other matters that people, particularly members of the public, want to discuss, be in touch with Mark Diller at the office, and he'll guide you to the right place or take care of your concern. For the applicants, just a few things. I noticed that this month, several of the applications have a great deal of detail and construction sort of drawings. We're interested in what things look like. And I think many of these pages we'll not need to see if you can skip over them. Also, when you have examples of what things you're matching or emulating, please ensure whether they are prior to designation, clearly historic or original, and if they are after designation, what is important is to know that they were approved by the Landmarks Commission. After the presentations, we have the business session. Members of the board who are involved in the meeting are invited to participate at the beginning of that. And then we form the resolutions. Anyone is invited to stay, but once the business session begins, no one may speak except members of the committee and members of the board in some cases. With that, we'll begin. The first application is for number 1 Bond Street to replace windows on the alley side of the building and install additional transom windows above the top floor of existing windows.
Thank you, Chenault. So I will elevate Nabil Ishaq for 1 Bond Street. If there is anyone else in attendance who needs to be promoted for 1 Bond Street, please use the raise hand function and I will promote you. Nabil, I will have you rejoin the meeting as a presenter.
When you're ready, when you're there, and share your screen, please.
Can anybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
You're
Yeah.
fine.
Can you guys don't have my plans?
I'm sorry?
Would you repeat? We
You guys
lost.
don't have my plans, so I could share the screen?
We count on you to share the screen. Do you not have that ability?
So, so all I gotta do is press on share screen?
Eugene,
Okay.
can you guide him?
Yes, so if you could use the share screen button and then you can
I-
share your
I
plans,
pressed on
whether
it.
they're in a PDF.
Hold on,
Okay.
let me call my assistant.
I don't believe we have I don't believe the screen shares started from your end. And also, you can also turn on your camera. I don't believe we have your camera. Your video feed is not showing up.
How come? How come the camera is not on? Did anybody move it? Hold on.
If this is going to take time to sort out, we'll do the next one and come back because that's going to be more efficient.
All right, you do that, folks, until I get myself together here with.
Okay, then we'll
Sharing.
be taking number 2.
Okay, fine.
So we'll move to 130 Bank Street. I am promoting
Okay, if you can
Courtney
organize.
Wollaston to be to rejoin
Well,
as
no,
a,
it's Barrow Street is next.
sorry? Oh, it's Barrow Street?
77 Bleecker.
Is it 77 Bleecker? Sorry,
I'm
Okay.
sorry, Barrow Street's the one, is that the one that was?
Withdrawn.
yes, so
Sorry, that's the
70
one that was laid over. It's not scratched from the thing.
Right, so
Next
77
will be
Bleecker.
77 Bleecker Street.
That's right.
And the application replace windows on the Broadway and Mercer Street elevations and establish a master plan regarding window replacement.
Yes, so I have Anshal Kapoor and Douglas Lane. They're both rejoining as panelists.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Okay, we hear
Hi.
you. We see
Okay.
you.
All right, great. Let me share the screen. Just a sec. Can you please confirm if you can see it?
We're fine.
Okay, great. All right. So, hi again,
I
everyone.
just ask one thing, if you have
yes.
details on a given page that has a lot of material on it, if you could increase the size of whichever square or section you're talking about, that's helpful.
No problem. I'll zoom in. Sure. All right. So my name is Anshul Kapoor, and I have Doug Lane. We're from Lane Engineering, presenting our window replacement project at 77 Bleecker. So this is it's a community of buildings located in the NoHo Historic District. And so it involves preparation of master plan for replacement of windows with Northern 1600 series casement windows. The existing windows are combination of double hung, sliders, and fixed. So initially we filed an application with the landmarks, and we're close to getting an approval for the courtyard elevations north and south facades, but the application was bifurcated to present the Broadway and the northern part of the Mercer Street at the hearing. So at this slide here, the facade on the left side with the red face brick is part of this presentation tonight. And this is the designation photo for that same facade section. We have been asked by the landmarks to replace the top windows on this floor with double hung windows. And double hung windows with 4x4 multi-light configuration, and follow a storefront protocol infill design for the first floor. And then our take on that is it cannot be accomplished for this facade in particular because it's fully residential, and it does not meet, it will not meet the energy code requirements, since the windows are required to be operable, and also for the lights and air requirements for a residential unit. Moving on, this is the elevation drawing for the same facade with highlighted section for the windows as part of this presentation.
Maybe Anshul zoom in just on the facade for there. Yeah. Okay.
So all these are sliders right now with transom on the top.
Inoperable. Yes.
Inoperable. Yes. The following these presentations are basically more focused on individual window types on this facade, giving a photo view, also the elevation drawings of existing and proposed design. So we are replacing the fixed units with fixed, but changing the sliders with casement. I'll keep going. All right, moving on. This is the Broadway elevation. This, in total, there are about 60 units here. And we have double hung units in the middle section of this facade. There are sliders and fixed units, transoms. Again, this is an elevation view of the same facade. Presentation showing details on each window type. The curves of both the segmental arch and regular arch will be matched with a panel over a square-headed sash. And here we have been asked by the landmarks. Sorry, I'll zoom out first. These are the historic photos. So we have been asked by the landmarks to install double hung 1/1 and 2/2 double hung windows to match the historic conditions.
Can you zoom in maybe on the historic photo?
Yeah, so like this is the middle section on the right photo, you can see. It shows a 2/2 windows. Now with the existing window opening sizes, it ranges from 8 feet wide to approximately 14 feet in height. The double hung windows will have to be customized weight and chain wood double hungs. That will not meet energy code requirements and are way too expensive. So our proposal is to replace them with no changes to the existing opening sizes and change them to Northern 1600 casement. I'll keep going. These are some more historic photos of the same facade. I'm sorry?
Go ahead.
Okay.
So maybe zoom in on the detailing. These are the frame details for the casement windows. We picked Northern because they have a fairly slim frame for a casement window, yet still meet the energy code. Okay.
Okay. And then this is a photo of the sample we got for the proposed casement series 600 by Northern, showing the interior and exterior view and some specifications on the window.
Okay.
Could you just go back for a moment to the representation in the building?
Okay.
Yeah,
For the Broadway?
the one we're discussing now. Yeah.
Well, it's both Broadway and Mercer.
Of what the new ones in the building look like. That was.
Oh, I see. The sample. Okay, got it.
This is in a frame built by the window manufacturer for us to show the tenancy, show the unit owners what they would look like and how they would operate. This is so you're actually
what I'm trying to do is the curved windows. The top of the curved windows will be curved. Of the windows in the curved openings will be curved. Is that correct?
No, the top of the curve. I think Anshul, on the Broadway side, the curved windows are actually squared at the top, and they go behind a stone veneer.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
So where it says window type 52 is what we see.
Is a squared window.
Is the view. Okay.
Right.
Okay, I understand. Go on, please.
Any other questions? I think that's our presentation.
Oh, fine. Okay, from the committee, have you questions?
Yeah.
I can start with that. All right, thank you for that presentation. I have so many concerns, I almost don't know how to begin, and that's the truth. I think the choices here are not in keeping with the historic windows. And if there was some way you could get back to a double hung window or 202 or something with a very simple mechanism, the casements make a huge impression on a facade. And I don't think any of us realize, looking at this building, just how huge these casements are. I mean, they are bigger than the biggest door.
If just to clarify one thing, the framing, will match the existing framing that's there. We will have the same transoms, we'll have the same
You're
meeting.
missing my point. You're missing my point completely because that is not the issue. I mean, people open windows. Are these opening out or in?
Outswing.
Well, I mean, it's gonna look like a party. It's gonna have like flags hanging. They catch the lights. These are Soho type windows, right? And they should be double hung, they should be solid and not big. I mean, what does it look like inside with the square and the round? Is that now gonna be, what happens there? That just looks so terrible.
So if you look at the maybe Anshul, go to the, can you scroll to the Broadway side existing windows photo?
Yeah, sure. Like, for example, this one?
Yeah, that's the existing, right? So
Yes.
the new windows will have the same look.
Sir, I completely understand. Trust me on it. I'm talking about the operation and what it looks like.
Okay.
And the overall, I'm commenting on the transformation you're making. And the guy before you too, by the way, that was, the slider is a difficult thing. Somehow it feels to me like it should just go back to a double hung. They work very well. They're open, they're closed, they're not half open. This huge panes of glass that can catch the wind, and I don't know, I just think it's unreasonable. Somebody say something.
Yeah, well, we go on to, you have questions?
No, you're right.
Okay, all right, from what I know of the history, there was a fire in this building in the 1970s.
79.
I remember.
Was when these windows were replaced. The original wood double hung windows were replaced after the fire because the building was gutted. And so these were put in, and they're not a good example of what historically should be there. And so did you say that LPC requested not only that they be double hung, but also in wood frame?
Well, they requested double hung. We're finding that the wood framing is probably the only likely framing that makes sense. Keeping in mind that some of them are so large that we will have to turn the windows into block and tackle windows, and it'll be
Weighted.
I don't know what that is.
That would be the weights,
Oh, yeah.
and that's
They have springs now. They use springs in the modern big.
not for this size, of window, what we're discussing now. Those springs aren't adequate for it. We would have to go
Well, you
to,
have to come up with something, and it can't
Okay,
be.
we don't need to
it has
solve the
be
problem.
some
We
other
need to just
solution.
understand what it is that the proposal for replacement of windows in kind, the applicant is saying is impractical because of the cost, and that their proposal is instead of the bottom sash operating as a double hung window normally does, that portion of the window will be replaced with a casement window which will open out.
and
If we understand that, then
Roman palazzo.
we know what we'll talk about in the business session.
and
If there's more to be understood, then let us question that.
And just to clarify, another thing is that the operation of the units are limited due to child safety requirements to only extend out with a 4-inch opening for for the windows. They don't go all the way out. They push out 4 inches.
Okay, so Brendan has questions.
Okay, first, I'm trying to understand the LPC decision for sliders in the first place, and
It wasn't a historic district at that time.
okay, so the thing that's nice about the sliders is that it maintains the profile of the muttons, it maintains the profile of the casement, and the meeting rails. So when I look at your details, I see a large difference in visual appearance. So I wanted to talk to you about that. And secondly, with the weighted sashes, are you saying that needs to increase the style dimension of these windows?
Well, that would, and it would likely require that we open up walls in the apartments. So
Right.
that's a pretty large disruption to the tenancy.
Yeah, I mean, that's the standard application for these double hung sashes is, they're buried in the walls.
Well, and there could be some variant thereof. I mean, the whole thing doesn't have to move up and down. I mean, maybe I haven't put my mind on it, but the bottom sash somehow modified that it lets the air in without becoming a completely new vocabulary.
Yeah. So is the dimension significantly changing? So let's see if I,
Just to also explain, the existing sliders do have a thinner meeting rail, okay? But those meeting rails are so thin and so not, practical that we were asked to get involved because these windows are so bad,
Ones are bad, 50 years old.
Oh, well, they were meant to
engineering.
work back then. too.
Right.
So that's one of the reasons why we're involved is that the meeting rails just, the frames just weren't cutting it, and they weren't cutting it for years. They've been suffering for quite a while. It's my understanding.
I do understand, and I think a lot of people feel the pain, the expense. One thing I want to point out, or maybe you could explain to me, is in the original windows, the double hung, which could also be turned into 2 double hungs, but is that style, the meeting style, roughly halfway? Because in your version, it's not, and that's also going to be really noticeable.
Anshul just scrolled over to the Broadway.
Double hung are usually 50-50, that's what I'm asking. And in yours, the casements are tall and the half round with the square is small and not really related to the historic windows.
So, and Anshul, maybe you could zoom in on the right
Yes.
photo. So as you can see, there's actually it's not a structural mullion, but it's a mullion that allows for 2 double hungs on that lower floor.
Cool.
And on the medium, the middle floor in this photo. And then at the top floor, it's a single double hung, but you can see that that's a more narrow.
Are you putting back double hung here? Is that why you're showing it?
No, we're showing this as the historic photo.
Well, that's what you should go for. I like it. No wonder. But it would be much better.
That does help us in terms of the dimension of the material.
Right.
Because this is obviously not.
This dimensions of the materials in this format, right, would be comparable to the dimensions of the casements.
I'm seeing that now.
Yeah. So, and then also, again, these are very large windows, and these casement windows can meet the energy code. Now, you may not care about that, but if this is a concern, especially looking at local law 97 and looking into some of these, the new requirements from the city. It is important, and it is something that we want to meet. There is no double hung that meets it, and there is no slider that meets it.
How can that be? There are so many
How could that-
No,
That-
Can you explain about the double hung not meeting it?
that's right. At this time, there's no commercial double hung window that meets the energy code. And there's certainly no slider. In fact, the sliders haven't, they are, but we're not advocating it, and I don't believe that you are, looking at that either,
Regarding energy code and historic windows, there's a difference between the city and state.
Don't need to be energy.
Well, I'm not sure. One they need to and one that you don't need to.
No, the city and state are one and the same, except for the fact that there are local laws now imposed on buildings of a certain size that they have to meet the local law 97, which is the carbon emissions. And in doing so, they check the envelope of the building, and the building needs every inch it can get to limit the tax, essentially the penalties that they're being imposed.
We should just.
Yeah, but this is 4 or 5, this is 4 different buildings. Like you say, there's that argument, even though it's the same tax lot now, it is 4 buildings.
No, it's the same building. It's the one local law 97.
So that's a conundrum.
Well, I think we should discuss,
I'll let you know.
I don't know, maybe other people have something to say, but we can do it in executive too. I think we understand the proposal.
I just want to be clear on what's been said so far, is that the double hung windows, that your position is that they're first of all prohibitive in cost, and that even if that cost were met, they could not meet the energy standards. Is that what you're saying?
That's right.
But if it were custom.
And if I might add, which is no small issue, is that they are just very disruptive. They would be disruptive for the larger sizes to be installed in the apartments.
Well, window replacement is disruptive, I mean.
We're actually talking about opening up jams of you need to get then a contractor for each apartment. It's
I think the overall effect is one that maybe you could work on. Let's leave it at that, because even if it were to stay just design, I think making sure that the location of the it doesn't look right. It looks like it's off balance, like you haven't followed the motif of what was there or would have been there. You got some bad windows to start with. I mean, I know that. The ones that are there now are in bad shape. Anyway.
Okay.
What about Mercer Street side?
Anshul, do you want to can you go to the Mercer Street
Yep,
side?
yeah.
I want to ask one question about this before we leave it.
Okay.
Is it possible that by introducing more mullions into the windows, something like 4/4, that this energy question could be solved? And indeed the construction question.
Yeah, we would have to look at that, but double hungs, just by their nature, which are basically double hungs are vertical sliders, let's call it that. They have an issue where air infiltration at the tracks occurs, similar to a slider. It's the same arrangement.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you. Okay.
And I also would like to just to reiterate one of the points that may not have been we're talking about the styles, but we've been asked to look at storefronts for the apartments that are on the ground level. And the storefronts are now, and Anshul jump in if I'm incorrect, are not operable in the storefront guidelines from the LPC. So that means that there's no light and air, or there's no air, I should say. There is light.
Well, that's not before us, right?
That is before you. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
I'm
Oh, there's storefront
okay.
too?
Let's separate that out then.
Okay.
Anshul, am I correct on that?
Yes, yeah, right, for the Mercer Street side, first floor, this is the comment we got from Landmarks, yes. We've been asked to follow the storefront
Guidelines
guidelines, yes, yeah.
for what are apartments. Maybe you can zoom in on the apartments. These are actually apartments in this area. And if you imagine them being storefronts, they would be just panels of glass, I'm assuming.
I'm sorry, I
not
missed
operable.
what's being proposed for there.
Similar design, which are replacing the sliders with casement windows to match the framing with the same transom designs.
Okay, I'm sorry, I just missed that.
You got it. Yeah. Now, and Anshul, just we have if we haven't written it already, we've been staff level approved for the adjoining, right?
Right, for this,
For the casement windows on this facade.
That's a modern.
Yeah.
Can you just go back? Can you just state the argument again, please? I think we've gotten off the track again. Just really simply, the argument for your design.
For the storefront windows or for the casements in general?
For the casements, let's focus on Broadway.
Okay.
If you can, and just go through the history and the thought process and everything you've run up against that's been a challenge.
So right. So with respect to Broadway, Broadway was the new window, or let's call them the new old windows, all right, or the old new windows are sliders, and those sliders included a transom, and maybe Anshul, you can go to the current Broadway windows, and they split up the window or the size of the window with two sashes for the lower part of the window, and then above the transom there's a muntin and two lights. And in this framework, the sashes are small enough, or the glazing is small enough to be accommodated by a slider, or in our case, a casement. For us to go to what they're asking for, which is a monolithic double hung with muntins in the middle of it for a 4/4, is it a 4/4 or 2/2 in some cases? Anshul.
2/2.
2/2 with, that's two lights, but monolithically over this one opening. Some of these openings, what's the widest opening that we have? I think they're 8 feet wide.
8 feet, yeah.
8 feet wide. So without going to a block and tackle and a solid frame, we're not going to be able to get a commercially available, let's say aluminum framed, or even I would probably have to go to something like a Pella or something like that for the oversized window and with a block and tackle. And they don't meet the energy code. This is a concern, and they will be expensive. So much so that it will prohibit the replacement of windows in the building. This building desperately needs it. They authorize us to go through each apartment to look at each window and give a rating of how what the condition of these windows are, and some of them are very very poor, and we know it, and you know it too, that the install from from the 70s or the late 70s or early 80s are not a very high quality window, and it's it's been a struggle for them, where they remark that it's snowing inside the apartments when it's snowing outside. And so we're trying to get them to a point where they are energy efficient and where they have a reasonable shot at getting replacement windows for the most amount of people. Maybe they can't do it all because it is still very enormously expensive, but that was our thinking. And that still is our thinking. And that's why we're in front of you trying to plead our case.
And with all of this, all of the operable windows will be, to sum up, the bottom section will be similar in appearance to the existing, and with the difference that they will all be casement windows. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. I think that tells what we need to know.
Question.
Is the committee satisfied?
I have a couple more questions.
Okay, please, quickly.
The 1/1 as an option instead of 2/2.
Yeah, you mean doing a mullion with two operable windows side by side on the larger windows?
No, just one pane top, one pane bottom.
Massively difficult to get those. That was the issue. The Muntin is nothing, that's nothing. It's when we have that full bottom pane, that full top pane, which is what they're asking for.
Yeah,
Those
super
are
good.
very heavy.
Can they in-swing the casements?
Yes, but we find that that's far more disruptive to the tenancy, because as you pull it in, let's say they have window treatments. Now, well, and some do, they have intermediate window treatments that go from the transom down. It gets tied up in that. Outswing, now remember, it's not like outswing like, they swing open and you could, walk out of it. They swing open 4 inches, so it's just slightly. There is a slight change in the plane of the window, but it is just enough to get the air requirement for the apartment.
Okay, are the committee finished? It's just hard because I can't see people. Eugene, are there any others who wish to speak?
I'm good.
I don't see any other raised hands.
Okay. Thank you very much, and we'll move on now.
Thank you, everyone.
Is
Thank you,
number
everyone.
On street ready?
Thank you.
Do we have anyone from the public?
Okay, thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for your
Are we,
time.
are we ready with 1 Bond Street?
So Chanel, are we moving with going back to Nabil
Okay,
for
so
1
if-
Bond
if
Street?
they
So
speak
Nabil,
now.
if you could unmute.
Yeah, I'm here.
Or if you're ready
Share
to proceed.
screen. Let me see if this. There you go. Share. There you go. Yeah, that's mine. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Can you see me as well?
Yeah, we see the screen, correct.
I'm sorry?
We see the screen, yes.
Is
Okay,
this
great. Very nice.
Fair
Okay,
trade.
great. So, yeah, let's start from here. So it's Bond Street and this little alley that is right next to us. It is not on our property. It's not a legal street as far as I'm concerned. I mean, it's not a mapped street. I didn't see it on the city maps, but it's, I guess it could be a private street or a public street, but it's not mapped. So from that,
Your property
going from,
line then is the dark line.
sorry?
Your property line is the dark line
Yes,
above the
indeed.
letter O.
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
thank you.
indeed. So the dark line is my property line, and this is the apartment that I'm working on this corner, northwestern corner. And these are the three located windows, location of the three proposed windows. The transom small windows. Let me go there now. So bottom line is this is a private alley, and I didn't think it would need like a hearing with the Landmarks Commission, but they insisted. They said, no, even though it's a small street and it's not visible, it's still facing a street, we need it. So therefore, that's why I'm here with you tonight and looking forward to doing the presentation. This set of drawings shows basically three proposed and small windows, like they're only 4'9" by 3 feet high. Each, the height of them is 3 feet. They vary in width. One is 5'2", one is 4'9", but they all align with the bottom windows, you know, which are the long, high double hung windows. Let me show you basically here. This is the plan of inside the mezzanine. Okay, so we have these windows that are existing, but they are low and they go 2 floors. Now this is the mezzanine level. These plans are on the mezzanine level. However, these windows extend down to the penthouse, which is 6th floor. And the better explanation is this one, existing partial interior elevation through the mezzanine. So this is the existing window. It goes through to the lower level. If you, does everybody see what I'm doing? So these 3 windows extend down, right, to the lower level through the mezzanine. And what we're doing, we're proposing a 3-foot window here above each one of them, kind of a transom window. They're not really transom because they're not attached, but it might be considered a transom window because of the size of the lower window. Okay.
The exterior rendering shows this much better, what you're trying to.
Yeah, I will go there. I will go there. So this is all the interior. This is the proposed interior. So we're gonna have like this partial window from below and this on top. Let's go to the exterior. This is the section, I'll get back to it, but let's show you what we're proposing. So these are the exterior 3 windows that exist in that apartment. They're double hung, pretty high. They're very high windows. And then the mezzanine level is here and extends to here. So there's plenty of room to put a window here. And okay, now this is what we're proposing. So this is all existing. The double hungs, okay, are here. There's those mini roofs. Do you see these mini roofs on top? They look like awning windows, you know, like on top, covering a little bit. I'll show it to you on this section. So here, this is what's existing right there. These kind of roofs, they exist over there on that brick, okay? Right there, here. This is what's there right now. That's the window top to bottom with a small cut. So this is the lower level here. This is the lower level from here to here, and that's the mezzanine here to here. And then this is the window that is there right now from there to here. And we're just putting another window on top of this here like this. So let's go back to the proposed window. So here you go. You have double hungs, the existing roof covers over 2 windows here. The shutters are made out of cast iron on both sides. Okay. So what we're proposing, 3-foot high windows aligning with the rough opening. And we're proposing a small mini roof on top that matches in color the bottom one. So it will be a bit compatible. Now, these windows, they are not visible from the street. they are a little visible. So this is more of an overall elevation for visibility from the street, okay? Now, from the street, only northwest corner of this building here across the street, you will be able to see a little bit of the windows, and there's a photo for it. Here you go. So this is the best thing you can see from the street, like the clearest view of these windows from the street. If we keep moving east, you know, of course, they see them less and less and less. And of course, if you keep going all the way east, then you don't see them. They'll be in the back, inside between these two buildings. Okay. So we tried to find like some samples of what was done in the neighborhood. So we found this building, okay, which has 3 transom windows on top of this. You have a lot of cases like these as well here, you know, like a couple of transom windows above this big glazing over here. You also have, you know, this is also, this explains basically like these little transom windows above this one. Anything else? I think that's it. Also here, I mean, this is considered the same color brick, same color limestone, same color everything. And what they did here, this is one floor, top to bottom, and they must, I'm sure they have a mezzanine, and they did this. They did a separation, but they created transom windows on top. Okay, but these are independent from these guys as well. Yeah, I mean, this is stuff that we saw in the neighborhood of thinking that, you know, we're not really, we're trying to be compatible, but I mean, it's what we're doing is not visible, you know, from the street. I mean, you could see also here, they have this case, they have these big window, double hung windows here, and then they have these smaller windows sitting on top of it. So I don't think it's unattractive. I don't think it affects the integrity of the building design. I believe it's fine because the building, when people look at this building, they don't look here. They really look at this majestic looking, beautiful towers and beautiful loft front. And yeah, so it's really minimal. And I could swear, I mean, I do know for a fact, you know, that they did there were windows there. Now, if these windows were there legally or illegally, I'm not sure. But they were, I saw in these 3 spots, bigger windows blocked with concrete block versus the brick. Okay. So they must have been windows there at some point, but I guess somebody closed them or took them off. I'm not sure what happened there. All right. So yeah, this is my presentation. I'm open to
Hey,
any
I
questions.
think we understand, thank you, the proposal and its how it relates. Is this alleyway open for the public to walk?
No. Let me show you a picture of this, of the front. There's a gate over there. See that gate?
Okay,
There's a
so it's
gate over
only
here.
available to the people who own it, presumably.
No, it's not to the public. You see, there's a big gate
Okay.
over here. It's
Okay, we
really
understand.
private
Yes,
parking.
we understand
I'll
that.
see it.
Thank you. Are there
Okay.
questions from the committee?
Yes. I'm gonna go ahead and go. Thank you. Hi, thanks for your presentation. You know, I think that this presentation is lacking a history about this building. This is the Robbins and Appleton building. It's an individual landmark, and none of that was presented here. There are no historic photographs. You've made mentions of there were possibly windows there before. And, you know, I had really high hopes for this presentation and kind of telling that story about the building as a historic and as an individual landmark, as well as it's in the NoHo Historic District. Designation was Fifth State, the building, you know, 1879. It used to be the watch factory, Second Empire, mansard roof. So I just really felt the presentation was lacking in that information for the committee and for the public. I also disagree with this not being seen while that alley has the gate and the photo with the sidewalk shed has since been removed. I mean, I was there this afternoon and I stood at Zero Bond across the street and I can see it. I stood on the same sidewalk and you see it looking up. Whether or not that's where people are looking mostly on the front, the truth is, and the fact is that you can see it regardless. And, you know, I just really felt like it was just not respectful of in the individual landmark, regardless of where it is on the building. Thank you.
Can I respond to this? Yeah, I'm not trying to disrespect anybody here. My apologies if I did, but I didn't think that this kind of size window would affect the integrity of the design and the integrity of the landmark value of this property. I always thought that this property has its value, but it's really looking at it from the front, not from the side. Forgive me, but the side of that building is very unattractive. It's dark. No one looks at it unless you purposely want to look at these windows to try to find them. And even these photos are taken by a drone at a 25, 30 feet in height. At least one of them is here. Let me show you. So for example, not this one. This photo is not from the street. It's like from up there, like 20 feet above the ground. So I could show people what you could see from there. And if you are underneath it and looking up, there's this huge cornice over here that will hide all that stuff up there that I'm showing. Even these windows are not visible because there's a not just a
Sir, this is
cornice,
all
but
very clear,
there's,
and
hold
you
on one
explained
second.
it
Not
extremely
just a
well.
cornice, but there's also
Sir,
let me find the word, a huge 2-foot deep concrete gutter over there that hides all that stuff that you don't really see it if you're standing underneath. I took it from the point of view where it's most visible. This is the place where you see it the most.
okay, thank you. We understand this. You presented it well. Her point was simply about honoring the history of the building. So could we go on to the next comment, please? Are there others who wish to speak? And anyone else, Gene?
I believe Carter, I don't know if he has his hand raised. But I do see Carter. I think he's trying to show something this application. Hi, Valerie. I think you had your hand up.
Yeah, Eugene, you're correct. I'm outside the building and I was trying to just show, you can see it right here. I'm standing on Bond Street, right where Valerie
Yeah, but
had
you're across
described.
the street. He's across the street.
Yeah.
He's not really underneath it.
Well, yeah, I mean, your picture that you said was a drone picture was actually from the street. It's visible right here. Jones Alley is one of the most historic alleyways, you know, in our area. It has a long storied history. The facade, I mean, you certainly don't speak for many people. It's a beautiful facade and it highlights the history of the back alleys throughout, you know, the city, that this is what they look like. I mean, this alleyway existed before Lafayette Street was introduced, when Elm Street dead end just a little bit to the north, and these alleys were the way that people service these buildings. And you know, the addition of transom windows in here does disrupt that facade and the lines, and what, you know, is part of the reason why this building was introduced as an individual landmark, was in order to protect the building. So I think that just, you know, what's described as a simple change to better enhance the interior of the building really is disruptive to the exterior of the building. And to me, it's just, you know, what you've said is certainly has minimized a lot of this. If you stand, I'm just standing on the street, I'm not in any strange place and it's completely visible. So I think I'll leave it at that for the moment. Thank you.
Yeah, may I say something on this? Yeah. Yeah, I did not hide anything. I did show this picture, exact picture, and this picture that he just showed right here. It is visible. This is the best place to see it, or the most. But then if you move a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right, or go underneath it, then you don't see anything anymore. All you see is this, and I mean,
Thing is
forgive
not,
me, but that's not a pretty part of that's not the pretty side of the building. I disagree somehow with this comment, but this needs a lot of work and a lot of cleaning. Go ahead, folks.
I just would like to just say a few words since, we're talking about it. One of the most beautiful things about this building is, of course, its facade. It's all fancy and shiny and glossy. And then at this exact line, it turns to a completely industrial shutter. It has all its shutters. It's really quite remarkable. A rustic back of house. And to put something fancy on top is kind of blurring the lines. I think it's just so perfect the way it is.
I agree with you on the shutters. The shutters are beautiful. They are made out of metal. I have close-up pictures of them. They're made out of rustic metal, and they look great. I suggested the shutters to the owners, but they didn't want the shutters. They just wanted just a small window as to make it look like just a small, like a transom over the existing window. So it will be part of the existing window.
Understood. Thank you.
Okay, that's it from the room.
Now, we should all hear. Are we waiting for our leader?
Anybody?
Do you guys have questions?
I'm sorry, I was turned off. Are there any other comments from anyone?
We do have one hand raised from the public. I don't know if they're
Okay.
ready to go to public speakers yet.
Of that, 2-minute limit, please.
Okay, so, Dina, I believe, you may, speak. If you'd like, I can have you rejoin as a participant.
Hi, I'm happy to just speak. I'll
Okay.
be, thank you. This is Dina Tasswinder. I'm with Village Preservation, just stating that. And I just wanted to reiterate what the committee was saying about how critical it is to see, if any exist, any photographs that show, there's this from the applicant, this alleged possible historic masonry openings there. I have no idea if that's the case or not, but if there's any evidence of that, whether it's from the exterior, from an older photograph, or if the applicant has access to the inside of the building and can show what they're talking about, that would really be crucial in us understanding whether there may have been some sort of previous precedent to have openings on this part of the facade. I've never seen evidence of that in my own investigating, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. So just wanted to reiterate that if there is evidence, that will help us make a determination. Thank you.
Thank you. Chenault?
Yes, that's it.
Yes, so,
Okay.
yeah, that was Dina from Village Preservation. I don't see any other.
Yes, I have that. Okay, thank you very much. We'll go on to the last one. The application is 130 Bank Street to install a new steel deck at the first floor level over existing cellar extension, include new pavers street structure, steel structure, railing and stair access to the interior stair hallway, replace window with a door to the stair, and add new lighting at the exterior facade. This application, could we change the screen? This application was before us last month, I believe, and we asked that there be a mock-up and pictures that illustrate the visibility. And we're here for that purpose tonight.
Hi, everyone. How are you? My name's
Okay, so I'm
Courtney
sorry, do
Walker.
you understand that what we're interested in tonight is seeing the pictures of the mock-up and the visibility from the public thoroughfare? And the rest of it we have from last time.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Courtney Wollaston. I'm the architect for 130 Bank Street. Was there anyone not present last time? If they want me to give a recap on the building?
I believe everyone was here before, so.
Okay, great. Okay, great. So then I can get to the point. So just again, real quick, this is part of a row house on Bank Street, 1857. It's, we're not proposing any changes to the front facade. We're adding a deck over an existing 2-story extension at the rear that has a cellar kitchen and a first floor den, if you will, that's existing, has been existing for a while. So the deck will come out from an upper window that will make into a door down onto the deck. So when I presented last time, we didn't have a mock-up photo, so we've now, sorry, lots going on here. So now we have some mock-up photos, and again, just briefly to tell you that it is visible from Washington Street. So here I am in this photo across on the western side of Washington Street, looking into the inner donut of where 130 Bank is.
Sorry, do you have a picture from inside so we're more clear about what we're looking?
Yeah, I'm just kind
If
of,
we can see that first, it's helpful.
yeah, I'm just orienting just in case anybody forgot. So there's this strange sidewalk sheddy thing, but it seems permanent on Washington, and you can see through here. I'm sorry, one second. Let me ask if my child can be quiet for a second. Sorry about that. Okay. So this is the rear facade as I was talking about. Cellar, kitchen, first floor den. The deck is going to go on top of that. So now here you see our drawings of existing conditions and then our new structure with the deck and a spiral stair, which with a door here that's keeping the existing lintel of the window, dropping the sill and creating a short door down to the deck. There's no other way to access it other than from there. So I guess I'll get straight
I'm sorry,
to
what
it.
I was asked, do you have a picture of the mock-up?
Yeah,
from
I'm getting to
the
that.
top of
I'm
the
sorry. I'm sorry. I'm getting there.
Okay.
Okay, here's the mock-up as seen from inside the building. So here we have post showing the height of the railing, and it's shown at an angle here because there's a steep slope of the existing extension. And then here's the mock-up of the railing height. And I'll just say that we're going to have to build up the brick to cover the structure because I don't want to see steel structure exposed. I want the brick to come up with a nice coping and then the simple black metal railing. And then this structure back here is indicating the size of the spiral stair. We didn't build the circular component of it, but this is the volume of the stair. Now, most importantly, here's the visual from Washington Street. It's visible. It's visible through this strange sidewalk shed gate thing. And it's very hard to see with the foliage currently, but when it's wintertime, you'll be able to see it more visibly. That's the only addition we have to our presentation now is just the fact that, yes, you definitely can see. I was shocked that you could see it, but you can see it.
Okay, are there questions from the committee?
Well, I have one question, and that is, did you investigate a straight run stair for that back deck?
We did, yeah, and my client really liked the spiral just because it takes up less space. I personally don't like spiral stairs, but that's what they asked us to advocate for, but yes, we have investigated that.
Anybody else?
Other questions? I have one, and I know it's a difficult of. Is there any possibility, considering what's within, to move the door down to the window at the level of the deck?
It's not possible because of the heights. Let me see. I would have preferred that, certainly. It's a lot
So
less.
it's not a usage thing, it's a,
No, it is quite simply, you would have to come up to get to that level. Once we put in the,
I'd say, okay.
yeah,
It's just not clear from the picture.
it's not. So, and I guess maybe it would be worth updating this section to show that the floor level, see this dashed line here? That's my floor level inside. And here's my sill of that window, and then here's the existing deck coming, sorry, the existing roof coming down, and here's my deck that comes across.
Which clearly has to be level, but okay, that's good, thank you.
Yeah, I would have
Other
preferred
questions
that.
from the committee?
Yeah.
I hear something, but it's not clear if someone's talking. Are there any more questions or comments from anyone?
This is pretty far afield, or as you just pointed out, that dashed line shows the floor line inside. And then below that dashed line is a sloped ceiling existing. And the thought is, well, reconstruct that ceiling and roof as a straight line underneath the existing floor line, then you would have the easy access onto the deck.
Agreed.
Okay. Are there other remarks, questions?
We're an executive or?
All right, are the questions satisfied? Okay, are there other than the committee, are there any questions? Eugene?
I do not see any hands raised from the public.
Okay, fine. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you all for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Are we ready to go on?
Yes, Chanel.
This nervous screen. Okay, Bond Street, it's fairly clear what's proposed and what's asked for.
Bond.
It's basically we approve it or we don't approve it as I see it.
Well, I think it shouldn't be forgotten, this is a significant project. And I don't think we should mess with that.
Are you saying no? Can you move the microphone somehow, Anita? I'm missing you.
Me? Oh, should I repeat myself?
Yeah, much better.
I think this is a significant landmark building, an individual one, right? What's the matter? I'll be looking very unhappy. And we shouldn't mess with it. We shouldn't put a fancy little window on top of cast iron shutters or steel shutters. And it's a big mistake to mess with the side elevation that you can't see.
And I found it looks odd that they're only the three. It almost would be better if the whole row were done. It
Yeah,
would make sense with the building because there's nothing asymmetrical in the whole building except that.
Yeah, it's illogical because they were so concerned about fire. And then you're making and all these shutters are there, which is also pretty cool. And then to put in open, unshuttered, it just is like, oh my God, that's dangerous.
So we're recommending denial, among other things, on the intrusion in an individual landmark.
Yeah, I just want to make.
And it is certainly intact. There's no question of that. And if they want to come back with the point that there were windows there with some verification, then that's a whole different thing. But I don't think that's up to us to speculate about, since it was sort of thrown out. Barrow Street's withdrawn, so there's nothing. Bleecker Street windows. We've discussed it to death, certainly. The thing is, what if not this, what?
You're talking about 77 Bleecker?
If not, we're talking about the major window plan.
Bleecker, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, this also, I know that.
I emphasize it's better to look at the microphone than me. Just to look toward the mic and speak.
Oh, sorry. I'm looking at you. That's why. Yeah, I'm gonna move this.
This isn't my house.
Well, it's also
Do we have any alternative to suggest?
no, I guess it's these, yeah.
Well, it's a complicated submission. I mean, I don't know that we can just sit here and design it for them. I just think it felt very wrong because of the way it actually will look. It'll really change the appearance of this type of building. Although
if we buy the casement windows, to simply make them open in, making it acceptable.
Yeah, that would be better.
Right, what was the?
And then it's not that they open that much. If it's a drapery, it can go on a U-shaped.
Well, you want the air,
the window
you don't,
treatment thing was, and that would certainly be less disruptive to the look of the building when random ones were open.
I think that's true. I think that is a good suggestion,
And then we've respected the very real question of energy. Brian, it's not normal that there exist double hung windows that satisfy the energy, I assume.
Well,
There would.
yes, wood windows, they can be triple glazed, they can be, they're very well sealed. They're, this is total news to me that there's nothing on the market. But this building was originally a store building, like a department store, like down in Soho, where the cast iron buildings, they are very large windows. If we begin to start chopping up and belittling these windows, we're losing all the character of these very fine old buildings. This happens to be one of those very special buildings on Broadway. And to treat it as if it's just another apartment building is unfortunately not in the historic character. So I hope that we can find a solution that keeps the character of the loft building.
What I did,
in your view, inward opening casement windows do not satisfy that.
no.
Okay. Then it seems we have no alternative. And we'll put in something saying that we are terribly concerned about the energy. What is it? The energy efficiency of the building and conforming to regulations, but that this is not the solution.
But we're more concerned about historic buildings because.
And that's
Well,
correct.
also-
Different people have different advocacies.
Yeah, we want energy efficient for sure.
Okay.
I-
So
I
we'll
would suggest-
certainly be respectful of the energy efficient.
Whether this goes into the resolution or not, I do think they have something to work with the historical photo. And they do not need to have a super thin muntin in their design. They had like 4-inch muntins in there, whatever that, I mean, so that if it's metal, they can perhaps work with that. But it is disruptive to put in the weights, but that's what happens. That's what we have to do. You
And
know?
the usual thing in replacing windows with the triple glaze is that those have to be increased in size. And we've had a number of recommendations in favor of them with that
Second.
small modification.
So,
We're clear on that.
you know, these are beautiful buildings. They live with beautiful windows.
We've had two really exceptional buildings tonight. Indeed, the facade of this one might be an individual landmark if they did it that way. Bank Street. We got what we asked for, which was a mock-up showing through.
Anita, in conference room, you're muted.
Oh,
There, I think you're okay now. I don't know. Are you muted? Can someone say something?
Hello?
Can you hear us?
Yes.
Thanks. Thanks for the check.
I didn't find it troublesome.
do you remember what we said about everything else? I mean, we had a lot to say, I think, but I can only remember one day. So I don't remember what we said.
But we weren't crazy about the staircase.
I think it's gonna
If
be
it hadn't been visible.
really visible, because it's gonna be, it's almost 3 feet just in structure. Because to level off the pitch. And then she started describing about building it in masonry and bringing it up as a parapet, and that's not how it's constructed. And I think to approve any spiral stair, I mean, is just treacherous. I would never do it. I can't bring myself to approve it. Somebody's gonna have to pay to take it out and go start all over again, going from the bedrooms.
Art Deco out of this.
Well, this is again sort of a yes or no.
Yeah, it's yeah.
No on the staircase. Is that what we're saying, or no on?
The whole project, I think, is gonna be very visible and not attractive, and you can see it. So, I mean, if you couldn't see it, we could say maybe, but even then, it's very hard to approve, I think.
Yeah, I think there are other ways of attacking it and solving the problem, and so I don't think I would.
And not creating
And
problems.
we're
but
also,
creating problems.
it's just that the view of it is peculiar. And we normally see down a nice alleyway or a space.
Well, we
But,
don't know what's
What
happening there.
we're looking at is something that is non-historic in the extreme. I think that's a further justification for something that's visible.
Right, it's not just that.
If it were a straight
it,
staircase that
terrible.
looked like it had some historic reference, that could be a justification.
Also, it has nothing to do with the historic district. Not even one piece of steel is treated historically. So I don't think it meets that criteria.
Right, I mean, that's another reason.
Yeah.
Something that was more acceptable looking to begin with and visible, as indeed we have recommended approval of visible things. that feel like they belong to the building. So we have 3 denials with some comments,
Yeah.
all 3. And I assume everyone is in order. Now, Eugene, did we ever get up another, I only had 2 people who said they couldn't come. So I'm really puzzled why other people aren't here.
Who are we missing? Well,
Missing Bo.
Bo is in here.
Zachary.
Zach.
Well,
Eugene is-
but Zachary's ill.
Oh.
And
But Bo's the only person not here. It's just
Albert and Andy.
Andy.
They're public members. Do they count
I
towards?
don't think so.
Still have to be. Because they
Was
still have to
Andy here?
come and let us know if they're not coming. That's
Eugene,
how we roll here. Like a
I
minute.
never had a tie.
Is Albert doing okay, by the way?
Maybe we turn off the meeting for our chat,
Oh, yeah. All right. Are we finished?
or we saw the letter or
Okay.
the fellowship.
Oh, the letter.
Oh, sorry.
So
All
do
right,
we have
let's move
quorum?
on to the other.
I don't want to forget that.
The letter has not gone out. I thought that it had, and Susan Kent is seeing to it. There was a final confirmation about to whom it would be sent. The National Parks letter,
Right.
and you have the final text of it, which I think is the critical part.
Okay, got really heavy fast. I thought we started light. I'm like, I can't even get the first sentence is like 4 pages long, but I have a
And
short
we,
attention span.
Give a star to the 2 Susans and Anita for their
Well,
work along with.
that made this Brutus, I just, I speak specifically.
They learned it all after Brandon knew it already.
But I'm
By the
gonna,
way, Susan
It's
is
a
here,
great-
by the way. Susan Kent is here.
it's a great letter. I'm gonna leave it at that too.
One thing
Comment.
to add is Gay Bitsky, who is the director of Region 1. That's him.
Okay.
That's him.
Come in.
Region 1. All right, so you're gonna write that down?
Yep.
Send it to. I just wanted to point out that this is, whoever puts this together really has to pay attention. It's going to a lot of important people. It also needs a lot of attachments that aren't here. And then if we're sending it by email, that's fine. You can do it with links, but if not, you do have to, I don't know what the protocol is. But we have a lot of lawyers.
I mean, I would say anything that people have to hyperlink to, you want to include it in the packet with it, so it's all there.
Exactly.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Susan, by the way, Susan's here.
Got it, okay.
It seemed like the wisdom at the last meeting was that the email would be the attention getting sending, and then printed copies would go
Of all the
at least to the
attachments
park
too.
people for confirmation and
I want to hear him say it now.
make it
You
more
know,
official.
Are you gonna put all the attachments in hard copy paper? So we're gonna send like a little package.
And the office will
Do you hear me?
do whatever it needs to do it.
I can hear
Susan,
you now.
oh, there's Susan.
I've been listening in
No
the
face.
background, guys. Hi.
Hi. Go ahead.
Susan,
Oh,
did you,
okay.
I didn't see you. You were,
Oh, because I'm not a panelist, that's why.
oh,
Sure.
Okay, I don't know who had the very final version of the letter and was going to make sure the office got it out. Apparently, I'm from listening to you, that has not occurred. No.
the one I sent to you today is what
Oh, it
Susan
doesn't. need to-
Gamage believes is the
the
final
letter.
one, unless you have
They
made any
sent it.
changes to it.
That's what it needs to be and sent out last week.
And
If
the
it's
only
your-
changes we thought existed were to be made were really confirmation of those to be copied.
Okay, well,
Someone needs to take it to the finish line, basically.
Right.
right,
Someone
right.
with good skills. Strong skills.
If
Lawyers,
you're-
they're very good at this, I hear. Susan?
If you're comfortable with it, the final version, then it's ready to go.
Yeah, but who's gonna do all the attachments and is somebody clear about that? I'm
Well,
not-
that's what you have to make sure. You have to have a list of attachments and make
I
sure
did
whatever you
already,
do.
we
that-
did
that
all
the-
this, we
that
did
the
it.
office sends it out because they can be very literal. It's like, if it's not in their hands, they aren't going to make any assumptions. So you have to actually present them with a list of whatever it
We
is
have,
that's supposed
we
to
have.
be attached.
We have, but we'll check, we'll follow up on it, no problem.
Okay.
Okay, so,
Should- Should we meet again for how this is gonna roll out once the letter gets sent?
Oh, well, let's get a reaction first, hopefully.
We might not get a reaction.
We may not, but let's give it a minute.
I don't,
mean-
I don't know that you need a formal meeting for that.
Right.
Okay,
You can, if we just, before your next scheduled landmarks meeting, in the sense that if you got a response, just getting the word out to the committee so that you can then decide what you will then discuss at your next meeting.
okay, we'll look to guidance from the 4 people we're not allowed to call a committee then.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Look, this is simply a flow of information and it will help you
I think
decide
about it.
what to do,
I
what to
think-
talk about when you have an official meeting.
I
And
mean.
then the committee will be informed
the
as
patient, right,
things develop, whatever develops.
I have a lot on my plate, a lot of work. It's great.
Fellowship?
Okay, on the proper name for the fellowship is the Community Planning Fellowship Program. I talked to Michael in some detail about it, and its structure of what happens really is up to the application for those submitting the application and how it works out. We've talked a bit about what to do, and the wisdom seems that to take the West Village, and the beauty of it is the transgressions in that part of the district are really obvious and easy to see for this, what we hope is a pilot program that will expand to more of the district or all of the district or however much we can do when as resources come available. And that is very elastic, so the size will figure out some small core and then let that expand according to the time of the fellow. That seems to be the big unknown, is exactly how much. We know how many hours a week of a working week, but we don't know how many weeks are involved and how much is involves reporting and so forth.
Well,
So
it's about a
it's
semester.
something that would just sort of go along as it does. And Michael was very encouraging of everything about the application and how it worked. Valerie, did you want to, Susan, are you saying something? Or
No, let Valerie go. She's been trying to get your attention.
Yeah, I would say my comment to thank you for you and Susan Gaming for putting together that proposal, Chanel. I think it needs to be a little more clear on who is going to be leading this person, who's the lead. For those 15 hours a week, from what I understand that was presented at exec. He's saying that multiple committee members are going to take them around. Like, I think we need to be very clear for.
we put in that. Maybe what I have is we actually put in a thing that said specifically the chair and the vice chair.
Well, that just wasn't in the version that was shared.
In fact, as responsible people, and then depending on exactly where and whatnot, that there'll be others. So we've identified 2 people just for
And this
this.
wasn't in the version that I had seen, and that seems to me, in order to communicate that we would take this very seriously. We've obviously had one before, but this is a different committee that would have this fellow. So just making sure that it's very clear that we have that point of contact for those 15 hours a week.
We
That's
put
it.
that in very deliberately so that there are people, individuals identified, not just
Great.
raise
Thanks.
your hand if you want to work on it kind of thing.
Okay.
And Susan, do you have any more notion about when we might know something?
I don't at this time. I assume this would be for it, you know, the duration is a semester. So I assume that if based on when our deadline is and the time to process these and make selections, you would be looking at spring semester for this to occur. And so that I assume is about a four-month period of 15, you know, 15 weeks over that spring semester period. You know, look, it's a great proposal, and the fact that it's scalable makes it very appealing, because this way you can always fit it in to the time allotted, and you know, you'll use that fellow, you know, to the best of, you'll max out their availability in the sense that they're not going to finish their project prematurely.
And there's a bit of training and a field trip to sort of understand what to look for, and then the research of comparing what's found to the records of both of the community board and particularly of the commission, so that I don't think we're going to spot anything that was approved by staff, but we may, and we'll certainly know what we didn't approve. So I think it's all going to be quite interesting. It does seem that it's not going to happen this semester. And I guess
that's not possible.
So we'll look forward to hearing from them when we hear from them.
To talk, since no one's calling on me. The correct information here is that the fellowship period is the academic year, so it's September through April. So right now they already had the 2023 to 2024 fellows, and the website says that it's both semesters, September through April. So
I stand corrected. Thank you. That's great. That's great. Yes, and the 15 hours a week.
It must be an important part of their work, and
yeah,
I should think somebody will find it interesting to do.
That 15 hours includes everything.
It's a really meaningful project.
Well, thank you all. I was so surprised at the number of applications this month, but I guess we made up for it last month.
Everybody's working hard to get them into you. Watch out. They're coming.
Okay, thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Night.